Long ago is it since a picture like this would have been either abhorred or ridiculed. But today, the education of small children in methods of self-preservation is recognized as a humane proceeding.
U.S. citizen returning to the United States in the previous 14 days will be subject to up to 14 days of mandatory quarantine.
It's the Quarantine Call-In Show with Laura Grant, Kim DeShields, Timothy Lovett, and our very special guest tonight, Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison. Woo! Welcome. Welcome. She made it.
I did, didn't I? I'm here. I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you
coming.
guys for inviting me for coming. I'm excited about it.
It's an honor. You know, like I had been saying in the promos, we were expecting you October 4th, and I remember that more. I don't know if you want to talk about that first, but
Okay, well, actually, this is the beauty pageant, right? We're about to be on the beauty. No, I'm only
are we? You want to tell me what your big goals are?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Your goals? What do they ask us in the beauty pageants? Don't they ask like, what is your goal? What are?
You know what? One of the questions that they asked, it was so funny because I turned it into a joke on stage. They said, if you win the money, if you win the $100,000 that you could win if you become Miss So-and-so, what would you do with the money?
Right.
So I turned around and said, wait a minute, hold up. So I got on the phone, like I was on the phone, kind of like, and I said, Black Boo, look, do you know they're about to give up $100,000 if you win? What you want me to do? What you want me to say? Okay.
That's hilarious.
Tell them, Sylvia, that you're gonna give me 10,000, so I can. It ended up working out really well. It did. But anyway, that was.
I bet that's a unique answer, right? Nobody does that. They'll go, well, I'd like to feed the children. You know.
Yeah.
Wait, Tim doesn't realize his audio is still on.
What's happening to Tim? Yeah, Tim, what happened to you? Where did you go? Did he walk away? Oh my gosh.
I know something died. He can't hear us, but I don't think he knows his audio's on either. Let me just let him know that.
You know what, Kim? I'm listening to you talk, and you have a very unique, distinct sound. Your voice is down here, and it sounds so amazing and sexy and all that other good stuff. So go for it with that voice. Do it.
Thank you so much.
You know, I study voices. That's what I do. I'm an impressionist. So.
Oh yeah.
So I hear, and Laura, she would be so easy to do an impression of, because I think it's because a lot of times we don't see how people operate physically until we see somebody else do it. Like a lot of times when I talk, you'll see my hand going like this. I notice your head tilts. Okay, your smile is just amazing. You got this. You're the reason why. Look, you are the reason why I thought about the beauty pageant. And I was like, wait a minute, do we have a contestant here on the show?
No, you're so sweet. I know it's kind of dangerous because I know you can do everybody, and I'm pretty sure by the end of tonight she's going to be doing all of us, which is fine. I mean, it's.
And we can't wait to hear it either.
Yeah, I want to hear you do Tim. That's what I want to hear.
You know
Kim
what?
said, and we can't wait to hear it either. I can't wait to hear it either.
Oh my gosh.
So it's exciting. You know, I love watching people, seeing the kind of moves that they make. And it's amazing how many people have such distinguished characteristics that, like, I mean, Laura, I'm looking at you right now, and here's you. I wish I had a pair of earphones. You got this big old pretty smile, and you got this head tilted, and it's like, I'm about to ask another question. I want to make sure it's the right question. You know that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
That's it. Well, you gave me a lot more credit than I have, than I should have, because really I'm just in awe of you right now, and I'm just thinking, oh my God. Yes, thank you. You've been doing impressions forever. My understanding from watching other interviews of you, where you said when you were a little girl that you could hear butterflies flap their wings, right?
The flapping of their wings. Who hears that? And for a minute, you know, as I got older, I used to think the butterflies were talking to me. But I could also detect when a bumblebee was near. I was just 4, 5, 6 years old. I could always tell you that a bumblebee was on its way. And my sister, who's like a year older than me, she would say, you don't hear no bumblebees. You're just saying that. And I said, no. And then all of a sudden, a bumblebee would just come along and fly on past us. Yeah, it was deep. It was deep.
And so that probably helps you. I don't know, because I know there's more of a process when you start doing imitations of those things. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there was some process that you went through to develop it, or were you already parroting when you
No.
were a kid?
It was already, it was just there because I mean, when I was really young, I used to could imitate a lot of our neighbors. And their children would say, "Do my mother, do my mother. Here comes my mother, do my mother." And I'd fix my head and whatever it was to do the mother, or do her voice, or do her walk, or his way he stands up, and I just, you know, it was already there. And then I realized, because we didn't have much television, we only had like 4 channels.
Yeah.
NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox. But it wasn't, it was WTTG at the time. It wasn't Fox.
Right.
So when you watch TV, you didn't really have a big selection of people to imitate, but I did. I just looked at TV and watched people. Next thing you know, I'd be imitating, and my brother and my mother would say, "Oh my God, you sound just, how did you do that?"
Wow.
I don't know how I did it. It just came out like that. Shucks.
Is it
Did you-
something anybody can do, or do you have to have a special ear for that? Like,
I think, you know, as a teenager, I used to wonder how that myself. I used to wonder what makes me know that your voice is deep, oh, it's high, you know, and how do I transfer it from hearing it to my voice? And I've not figured that out yet. I've had people calling me wanting to hire me to teach them how to do impressions, and it's like, I think you might have to just have it. You know, I think so.
Yeah.
okay.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know how to, I wouldn't know how to teach somebody other than different levels of, I just told you, you're easy. I hope you become a huge star, some way, form, or fashion. I mean, you're already big, but I'm hoping you become huge. Like whenever you talk, like if you're on CNN or something like that, people are going to know that you'd be so easy to imitate. I would go, here's Kim Shields. Like when I first saw Whoopi Goldberg,
Yeah.
and I must have seen Whoopi back in the 80s, 70s. She was just about to do her Broadway stint. And she had this thing, you know, she had this, it was something about her that just let me know. And I had this epiphany that one day she was going to be on national television.
Wow.
Here she is. There she is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Now,
so dope.
Now I know you did Muhammad Ali for Muhammad Ali, which is pretty brave, right?
Oh my God, Laura.
Tell me.
That's such a wonderful story. You know, I have an autobiography, so of course the story is in my book. At the time, Muhammad Ali was the most famous person in the world.
Yep.
They had written more books about him than anybody else except for one person. One person beat him out, and that was Jesus Christ.
Wow.
They wrote more books about Muhammad Ali than anybody other than Jesus. Can you imagine? So he was being roasted at the Apollo Theater by all of these big stars. Just, I mean, oh my God. And this was like in what, 1980 or 1979. But anyway, I was not invited, but I decided I was going to get in that roast. Oh, somebody's going to let me in that roast. I don't know who, but I decided the only way I can probably do that is to crash the roast. And so that's what I plan to do. I picked this character off of a show called Laugh-In. You guys are a little young, so
I
you
know,
wouldn't
we
know.
love
I
it.
know Laughing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So there was a little lady who wore this black thing around her head, and the white man come and sit beside her. She hit him with her pocketbook.
Ruth Buzzy,
So
right? Ruth
I
Buzzy?
said I was going to go as a black Ruth Bussey,
Awesome.
and I was going to crash the roast. But I guess the universe decided different, because I was in San Antonio, Texas, the day of the roast. Richard Pryor was supposed to host, but he canceled that day.
Wow.
So now they had nobody to host the roast. And Dick Gregory was in charge. Mr. Gregory, thank you forever. Thank you. He's deceased now, but I had a girlfriend who knew him well, and she said, you should get Sylvia Traymore, because everybody was already booked. Everybody was already busy. So she said, he said, who is that? She said, bring her in and you'll see. And he
Mhm.
said, you know what, let's give her a shot. And I had to jump on a plane from San Antonio all the way back to New York City. And the limousine picked me up and took me to the Apollo. There was no script, none.
Wow.
Oh, there were so many people, football players, basketball players, actresses, actors. So many people were on the panel. Harry Belafonte, Dick Cavett, Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, you know, just amazing, amazing people. And I didn't have a script, so I had to go to each one and ask them what they wanted me to say. And
Wow.
everybody's response was, say what you want. And I was like, okay, all right. And I remember when I introduced Harry Belafonte, you know, he's famous for his singing. And what people don't know is that I started out singing. I was a singer before I was a
Oh,
comedian. So, and I mean,
really?
yeah, I was a singer, but I opted not to sing because there were so many singers. And I said, there are no impressionists. So I went on the comedic side. But anyway, so when I introduced Harry Belafonte, the one thing that came to my mind is the song that made him famous. He was about to walk up to the stage, and I was like, "Day-oh, day-day-day-day-oh, daylight come, you don't wanna go home."
Wow.
Yeah, it was an amazing time. So when it was time for me to introduce Muhammad Ali, I'll never forget. They brought him down, so, you know, because he's so big. He had about 15 people around him, and they held him at the front at the entrance to the stage. I was already at the mic, and excuse me, I looked over, and there he was. When I tell you guys that I had never seen a man like Muhammad Ali, it's like God himself just stood there and made him.
Wow.
Everything about Muhammad Ali, in my opinion, was perfect. And I looked and I was so in awe and so thrilled that I was on this Apollo Theater stage about to bring Muhammad Ali out. And I had just learned to do the impression, right? I was afraid that it wasn't like tuned all the way like I wanted
Yeah.
it. But this was my opportunity to do Muhammad Ali in front of Muhammad Ali. And so
Wow.
I looked at him, and I mean, he was robust. He was built. Everything on him was perfect. It was every muscle in place. The suit he had on looked like it cost about $4,000. His hair was perfect, and he's standing backstage, you know, and he's looking at me, and he's, you know, doing Muhammad Ali. And I said, Mr. Ali, if you'll just give me a few minutes, I have a little surprise for you. I want to do something for you. And he looked at me like, go ahead. And I walked out, and guys, I was like, this is either going to make me or break me, because it was being taped by NBC.
Yeah.
The place was standing room only. The Apollo was standing room only. I had never done the impression in front of anybody, so I don't know what's going to happen. I go out to the middle of the stage and I say, God, if you've never let me have a good set, please, Lord, please let me do Muhammad Ali correct. And I walked out there on that stage, and I looked back at Ali, at Mr. Ali. I try to keep it respectful, but it's like Ali. I looked at him, and I looked at the audience, and I started saying, flow like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I hit him so hard, I turned a he into a she. And when I was done with the impression, I said, ladies and gentlemen, Muhammad Ali. And he came out and grabbed my hand and took me to the front of the stage.
Wow.
He looked at me and he said, you doing me? A woman doing me? That's awesome. And when I tell y'all, the whole place just went bananas. And I had to do everything I could to keep myself, you know, on top of my game, because I had to introduce all these people. But it was such an honor. And Garrett Morris, I don't know if you guys,
Yes.
Garrett Morris is from
yeah.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Of course.
At the end of the roast, he came up to me and I was like, I wonder what he wants. You know, oh God, what did I introduce him wrong? So he said, Sylvia, because I did Jane Hathaway from the Beverly Hillbillies. You guys,
Yes.
y'all don't know. Don't tell me
Yes.
that you
Of course we know.
Of course we watched it.
Well, I had done Jane Hathaway. I was like, Mr. Glover's Jumper. You know, I was doing this. Oh, look at the cat in the background.
Maxine.
Hi.
Yeah.
So I had done Jane Hathaway and Garrett Moore said, you have got to meet my boss. Well, his boss is Lauren Michaels
Yes.
from Saturday
Yes.
Night Live.
Yes.
And he said, my boss is going to love you. And true to his word, NBC sent the limousine to pick me up to take me to the offices of Lauren Michael. And
Wow.
they, just to make a long story short, Mr. Michaels offered me a job as an associate writer. They were only 4 years old. 4 years old.
Yeah. I didn't realize that came from the Muhammad Ali introduction at the Apollo. That's and now your manager at the time was Red Fox, right? Or was that after?
That was afterwards, because Red Fox was my very first manager after I left Europe. I got to go to one of the stories I like to tell, and Monique has made it so popular for me, the comedian Monique.
Yes.
She talks about her situation and the fact that she and I talked about her situation with respect to women in the business making money, because I didn't get paid the first 10 years I did comedy.
What?
That's incredible.
I didn't get paid. So when I heard that she was stepping up to the plate to do something about that, it just oh my God, because, well, let me take that back. I got paid when I went to Europe with 3 other women to entertain the American troops from the Vietnam War. And I think I was 20, maybe. Oh, I forgot how old I was, but I was very young. And while I was in Europe, you know, we didn't have what we have today, no social media, no phones, no nothing. The only way you could find out about somebody is through television, radio, magazines, word of mouth, telephone call, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so he had been reading about us in Europe. And he said, well, who is this girl that does impressions? Women don't do impressions. And the reviews were so amazing. They were just, you know, I would just read them and I would go, oh my God, God made me a little special. You know, I'm getting all these absolutely wonderful European reviews. And so he said, I want to meet her. When she gets back to the States, bring her out to LA. And that's exactly what they did. I couldn't even believe it. They said, Red Fox wants to meet you. And I'm like, what? So he signed me on the spot. So Red Fox was my first manager.
That's amazing.
Isn't that something?
What is it inside of you that, you know, like, first of all, the idea that you would crash the roast just to do Muhammad Ali, but then you get, you know, like, you're replacing Richard Pryor, right? And what is it about you that felt like your impression was a little wet, but you were going to like blow the house down with this thing, and you did? What is that confidence? Where does that come from?
I love that question, and nobody's ever asked me that ever in my entire career. So thank you for asking it. I'm thinking, now watch they go online and find an interview from 15 years ago and they ask that. No, but I don't think anybody's asked that question. I just, you know, I think my confidence came from the attitude of whatever, not in the negative way, you know, not the whatever. No, it was like, whatever, you know, that kind of whatever. It was, I just, every time, my entire career, whenever I go on stage, I try to remember to ask God to bless me, for the crowd to be entertained, for, here's a prime example. You know, I don't know if you know, I toured with Whitney Houston.
Yep.
As her opening act. We did about 25 cities across the country. And I remember every night before I'd go on stage, I've never been nervous a day in my life. I've always been excited. I've always been not nervous, but excited. And so I remember going on stage with Whitney Houston as her opening act. And the first night, I worked with her in Washington, D.C. at the Warner Theater. Wow. And they couldn't find, my good friend Andy Evans, you guys are going to learn all about Andy. He's just, oh God, he's such a pillar in my life. He was supposed to open for Whitney. Oh. But he thought the show was Saturday night when it was actually Friday night. So when he didn't show up, they had to find somebody to open for her. So they said, call Sylvia. And sure enough, I went down to the Warner Theater and I opened for her. So Whitney came to me and she said that she was going on tour and I'm going to take you with me. I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take you.
I was going to ask you if you would do her because I know she's in. I love her so much.
Oh, and so she started her tour, and I wasn't on the tour until I was devastated. I said, she said she would take me. And whatever happened, I got a call a few days later, said, Whitney wants to know if you can meet her in New York.
Wow.
She started a tour, but she's not they had a guy, I guess her people had hired some guy, and she evidently it didn't work. And she was like, I told you, I told you to bring Sylvia. I told you, but you just didn't want to listen to me. Okay. So they brought me out. And I'm so far away from your question, Laura, but I'm gonna get
That's
back to it.
okay. I know you're going to come back.
Such a great question. I
I
gotta
trust
preface
you.
it. I gotta preface the whole answer to the question about my confidence and all of that. But so I went out on tour. I went out with Whitney, and here's really what inspired me a lot, and any questions that I had to myself about my confidence were totally answered, because on Whitney's tour, I got at least 2 to 3 standing ovations per night.
Wow. That's
And
not
if I only
easy.
got one,
Yeah.
she would say, what happened? It's hard already to just get one daggone standing ovation. I can get 2 or 3. And so because I think because I prayed before every show, I'd ask God to make sure I entertain my audience. It always, and to this day, and it's not a brag, it's like a blessing. It's like,
Yeah.
I go out on the stage and the people, they just love it. They stand up, they clap, they get in line to buy books, they do everything. They want to know, why don't we know about you? How come, you've been out here for so long? This is my 51st year in the business. So
That's incredible.
yeah, and I got to tell you this little quick story about Whitney. At that time, she was like the greatest singer ever.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so unbelievable that she wanted me. This is what I'm thinking at the time. Why would she want me to go out on the road with her? But she knew that I would set the audience up for her, so she was good. So this one particular night, she would have all kinds of people sending her flowers, clothes, and just food. I mean, it was another world in entertainment. It was like 4 steps up. Oh my God, they had barrels of drinks and sodas and beer and just barrels in my dressing room. I'm like, there's got to be at least 50 cans of beer in there. I know they didn't put all of that in
Just
my
for
dressing
you.
room for me. And I didn't want to insult them, so I started drinking all of them. No, I'm only kidding. And so I went to her room one night. She had all these flowers. I think Robert De Niro may have sent her like a room full of roses. It was unbelievable. I'd never seen anything like it. I'm like, I love flowers. And I said, what are you going to do with all these flowers? I love flowers. She said, oh, girl, take a few. I'm just going to take a few. So I would take a few. And this one particular night, she had all these dresses. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of dresses. I mean, a whole rack, just a big, long, giant rack of dresses. And I said, oh, Whitney, they're beautiful. And she said, girl, designers from all over the country be sending me stuff. They send me all kind of stuff. She said, go take a few. Guys, I went to the rack now and see, here comes my ghetto. Here comes my ghetto.
You cannot resist. I mean, come on.
She said, take a few. I grabbed every dress. I grabbed them dresses.
Carrying
I said, I'll be right back to get some more. She laughed so hard. She said, you are just, But I only took about 3. I wanted to take them all, but I had to leave my ghetto.
Yeah, but that's
awesome. She had such a heart of gold. I wish people knew the Whitney that I knew. I really do. She'd give you the shirt off her back.
Yeah.
Literally, she would just here you go. You went and say, oh, I love that shirt. I love it. And she would go, let me see if I have another one. And she would give it to you.
And what I love is that she was she was a hard-working performer. Everything she did was 150%. So pick you, that you have to have been so great back then, even because she wouldn't have just picked somebody,
Yeah.
Her work ethic was really big.
You know, the first night I was out on the road with her because her manager was at Clive Davis. Just a whole rack of people. Everybody who was anybody would come to all of Whitney shows. This one particular night, Dionne Warwick was sitting in the dressing room because she didn't watch the opening acts. You know, she just didn't. It was Dionne Warwick. And a few people, I was on stage and I was doing one of her songs and everything. And they came back and they said, Dionne, you need to come and see this girl, Whitney's opening act. She sounds just like you. So Dionne gets herself together.
Oh my God, you did the face.
And she came out and she listened and she came back and they said, she says, she sounds nothing like me.
Oh my God.
What do you get when you fall in love? Only get eyes back. And you know, she sounds nothing like me. And the audience was on their feet. And the people backstage are like, but the audience thinks she sounds exactly like you. And it's like, so that's my fun Dionne Warwick story. So with respect to confidence and I've never been afraid of an audience. There's a few things I've never been afraid of, I've never been afraid of them. I've always been excited with them. But I've also never been afraid of mice, ever. If you need a mouse taken out of your mouse trap, call a sister right here. I got you.
And audiences, that for sure. It's great. Not even mice audience like Mickey and all them.
Right. That's really impressive. That is so impressive because as long as I've been doing comedy, urban audiences, they frighten me a little something because if it goes wrong, they're gonna tear you to shreds. Like so I've been a little bit frightened sometimes going into certain rooms.
I understand that, Kim. How long have you been doing comedy?
I think like 19 years maybe, right?
Where are you from? Where's home? Where are you from?
I'm in Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're all
You too,
here.
Laura, are you also in Massachusetts?
We're all here, yeah.
And Mr. Lovett, he's also from Massachusetts. That's wonderful. Did you notice I said Mr. Lovett? Hey, I got you, bro. I got
you. Well, thank you, because they don't respect me at all. I'm just here. They're like, Sylvia's coming on the show. You just look, you smile a lot and shake your head.
I can't believe you're gonna go there. Oh my goodness.
Funny. That is too funny. Oh my God.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you on Saturday Night Live? Because like you're right, you weren't on the I don't believe you were ever on the credits back then.
You know what? Mr. Michael with his partial wonderful self, because I didn't really get a chance to know him, so I can't just give him the whole wonderful. He can get the wonder. The full is, I gotta leave that up to the side. When they brought me on, he told me as an associate writer, I would not be on any of the skits. I'd have to work my way into the skits. And it wasn't until years later, I wondered, it was a hard time for a Black woman in comedy back then. You just didn't know. You had to, and I figured doing impressions, being different from, I was the only one. I was the only one in the whole world, actually, in the whole world. And so I've never got, my first assignment rather, was with Linda Ronstadt and Bob Hope's wife. That was my very first assignment, but I didn't understand what my assignment was. They already had a script. What am I going to write? But anyway, they took me backstage and I hadn't met any of the cast yet. I was brand new. And the word was that John Belushi didn't like female comics. He didn't. I heard Jane Curtin and Gilda Radner had a nice little time dealing with him. I don't know, because I think the one time I met him, I went to shake his hand. They just, all the stuff that went on back then. Because Kim, in those days, it was tough. It was tough for a female comic, not just Black women, but it was tough because Joan Rivers and a couple of other ones. I read her book and we're kind of like, I read parts of her book, but we were kind of like parallel. Because some of the stories that she was telling, I was like, yeah, that's the same thing. It's me too. But she got to go on Johnny Carson. It's like, Oh no. At any
Uh-huh.
rate, yeah, so I didn't stay with Saturday Night Live long. I felt like I was the little peon that had to get the broom and sweep the floor or that kind, it wasn't a real and I didn't learn till later when they call you an associate writer or an associate producer, you don't get the same, you don't get what the actors and the actresses are exposed to. And they don't have to put your name anywhere. They don't have to pay you. I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid. Let me make that clear
Mm-mm.
because I need for people to understand why I'm so pro Monique.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know. There was like women, period, had a hard time back then. But and if you were a black woman, you were almost irrelevant. Really. I mean, as big as my background started to grow and the credentials started getting huge and more huge and more, I'm out there, I'm touring with the Temptations and the Four Tops, Whitney Houston
Wow.
picks me up. I'm with Gladys Knight and the Pips. I'm with all these people and with all of that, it's like they still,
Yeah.
one guy said, no, you belong in Vegas. We're not going to bring you into this club because you belong in Vegas. So I'm like, okay. But with respect to the confidence, I don't know how, I don't know how I lasted this long, but I love that I lasted. I'm so happy that I lasted this long. If I was put up from back then up to today's criteria, I don't think I could do it.
Really?
Oh no. Mm-mm. I think the women today, I appreciate you, Kim, for hanging in there for 19 years. I appreciate that because I know you've had your days too. I know you have. And
Oh
I know
yeah.
that yeah, oh, I know it. I know it. I mean, I just know it. And Laura, do you do comedy?
Just started, so I'm really new. Really new.
Okay.
I used to do other things, but yeah, this is really new to me. So I'm
How do
just
you
so
like it so far? Look, I done turned into the I want
Wait a
to know.
minute.
I
Wait
want
a
to know.
minute. I started in the times of COVID. So right now it's just a
Oh,
fascinating
wow.
time. Yeah,
Well, that's historic.
it's crazy. It's
When you
crazy.
blow up, that's going to be, that's, oh my God, look at that. Look at that.
But tell us about why, because I feel like you had to do everything yourself. Back then,
I did.
you had to figure it all out yourself. And today, I don't know if that measures up or if it's the same thing. You know?
But
It's like
you had
people
management though
always,
too, right?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you had management at that time, correct?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
The only manager I've had is Red Fox.
Yeah.
And I was in LA. I was living in LA. He's the reason why I even moved to LA because while I was in Europe, our escort was a manager of a group called A Taste of Honey.
Yeah,
They
we know
won a
them.
I
Yeah.
remember
Grammy.
them.
They
Yeah.
won a Grammy for "We're Gonna Boogie Oogie Oogie Till You Just Can't Boogie No More." Look at that.
Boogie.
Oogie, oogie.
That was basically the only. He wasn't a manager. He just was our escort while we were in Europe, and excuse me. So that was the part of that. So I've never really had a manager. Everything that I've ever done is basically out of a blessing or me. I used to have to creep and do stuff because otherwise a lot of the things that I've done would have never happened.
Wow.
When I decided I was going to crash the roast, nobody knew it but one of my friends, and she was a former Miss Black America. And so because she was so popular in that genre of entertainment, she knew Dick Gregory well. She's the one who told him, you need to get this girl I went to Europe with. Oh my God. So that's how I had to operate. I had to create opportunities for myself. And so nowadays, because I didn't do the comedy clubs or, I did some comedy clubs, but they have a documentary coming out. Guy Torrey is doing a documentary with a lot of the comics from back in the day. So they called me, thanks to Monique. God, she's been a cheerleader. That woman has been such a cheerleader for me. Thank you, Monique.
Great.
'Cause
Yeah.
she's probably gonna watch this.
I'm
She's
sure
gonna
she
watch
is.
it. Yeah, she's gonna watch. If she's not watching now, if she's not watching now, seriously. But I have to always thank her because I met her in Las Vegas. I was about to tell you guys about how I had to create stuff for myself in order to make it happen. And I mean, that's basically been my whole career, but up until here recently when America is waking up, I don't know what to attribute it to other than the fact that everybody's home. And I would just do stuff. I'd appear somewhere and the next thing you know, I talk my way onto the stage and voila, all kind of organizations, of the fraternities and the sororities and the 100 Black women of this city and the national so-and-so, the National Association of Black Caucus and just all kinds of stuff. And every time I'd get interviewed, they'd ask me all these questions, unlike that question you asked, Laura. But I said, I'm going to write a book. So I have this right here too. I'm going to show you guys. I don't know if you've seen it or not. But I wrote my autobiography.
Almost there, almost, right?
Yes. Oh, look at you, Laura.
And you got another one too, right?
Yes,
and
I do.
One,
Jelly beans.
and
Look,
another one.
And
another one.
How about this one?
Jelly Beans from Heaven.
This might be my favorite book so far, other than the new one that's about to come out, because that one is riveting. The new one is riveting. I know you said we'll talk about it later.
I want us to talk about it, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we'll so it's been a journey. And it's like, oh, I was telling you guys about the documentary that Guy Tori is doing. So they've got Dave Chappelle, Chris Tucker, Chris Rock, Monique, George Wallace.
Wow.
And Monique told him, you cannot do this documentary without including Sylvia. You just can't. So they called me up and they've included me and I'm excited about it. Did you read anything about the play, the one-woman play that I'm going to be doing in 2021?
No, I don't think so. I know. You did another one, didn't? Yeah, Moms. You did do one on Moms. I thought so.
Well, we haven't done this yet. It comes out. We're working on it. We're opening at the Howard Theater in Washington D.C. because she always, and then we're going to the, we'll do the tour.
Awesome.
But this is the playbill. And it was written by Andy Evans. See, I told you you're gonna hear his name a lot as we venture into this. So, and I'm so excited because it's a one-woman play, and it gives me an opportunity to show my audiences that not only am I a comedian, but I'm a singer.
Yeah.
I told you I started out singing. I'm doing 9 different women from her era. From Moms Mabley's era, like Ella Fitzgerald, Nancy Wilson, excuse me. It's just a bunch. And I'll get to do impressions of all of them.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
People are like, you do Ella Fitzgerald?
That's hard.
She's the queen of scat.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Thank you. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
that's not easy. Y'all are so easy.
Can I ask you a follow-up question to that?
I beg your pardon?
Can I ask you a follow-up question to that?
Yes.
Now, has there anybody that you ever tried to do and just couldn't get it right? You know what I mean? Has this been like your white whale or whatever that you just could not, impersonate or get it down enough for you to do it on stage? Or
how are you guys coming up with these questions? That's a wonderful question. That's amazing. Oh, I'm gonna brag about y'all online. Don't you even worry. I'm gonna let them know. They ask all kinds. Well, with respect to that question, I'm trying to think. I remember there was somebody I was trying. Oh, I know who it is, and I almost have her, but she's still. I still don't, and I think it's because I'm not sure if I can dance as well as she can, because I can dance too, Well, I mean, it's Beyonce. So
oh my God.
I don't know why it has taken me so long to get Beyonce down, but You know, I'm working on her. And you
I
know
can't
what?
wait.
So when I get her down, I'm gonna call you guys and say I need to
Yeah,
come back on your
please.
show so I can
Please. We
do
love
Beyonce.
Beyonce. We
Yeah.
love her. Yes, that'd be great. Wow. I do want to ask you a question from somebody in our audience. Johnny May is asking, when did you add Diana Ross to your show?
Oh, I like that. Diana Ross and the Supremes were my favorite group as a child, as a young kid. I love Diana Ross. I love the Supremes because it wasn't Diana Ross yet. Diana Ross and the Supremes. I loved them so much. I put together a singing group. And guess what the name of our group was?
Uh-oh.
The Supremes. We called ourselves the daggone Supremes. I mean,
That's funny.
and so people would say, but you can't be the Supremes. I said, yes, we are. I'm Diana Ross. And I think right after they did the song Come See About Me,
Yep.
I started being able to just bring Diana Ross to life. So I've had so many notes and text messages and stuff saying your Diana Ross was spot on. So I must have, I've loved that. Diana Ross is really my all-time favorite singer. But I have to put her and Whitney in the same category because Whitney Houston really just brought life to life for me. So there you have that. But yeah, so I started doing Diana Ross when I was like when they were doing those songs. Where did I? Oh, baby,
Oh, piano nigga.
So he's a little crying in there. Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. So perfect.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
So can we talk a little bit about what happened last month? Because all I remember is I'm talking to you in the morning of the show and you say something
What date?
terrible
What
has
was that
happened.
date, Laura? What was
It
the
was
date?
October 4th. October
Yes.
4th. You said, I'm
Oh.
really sorry to tell you that something terrible has happened.
Oh.
And you sent me a little picture of yourself in your glorious little rhinestone mask, but not looking like yourself at all.
At all.
And I thought, oh no. And you said you were diagnosed with pneumonia.
They hadn't told me the whole picture yet.
Wow.
So she looked, the doctor in the hospital. I was feeling so bad. I was just feeling bad. And something was going on with my throat. You know, I felt like it was a frog or something in there. But I was just sickly. I was nauseous. And I went to the hospital because I was so dehydrated. And I hope this isn't too graphic. I really do. It's in the book.
It's okay.
You guys will read about it. But my mouth, my lips felt split all the way. It was just horrible. I could hardly talk because to talk hurt because of the splits from the dehydration. So they kept me in the hospital to give me an IV so I could, become hydrated. And I still felt just awful. So they took my blood, they did all the tests and she came back and she said, Miss Morrison, you have pneumonia.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm a little older. So pneumonia is not a good thing to have. I don't think it's a good thing for anybody to have, period. But the fact that, pneumonia,
Right.
I was like, oh my God, but I felt so bad. And then she whips out this swab thing and said, we're going to do a COVID test. And I said, okay, that works for me. That I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm going to find out, number one, if this has anything to do with that. Number two, I don't have to go out and get a test.
Yeah.
So they did the test and she said the results would be back in 2 days. Now this was on the 3rd. I think it was the 3rd of October. So the next day is when I sent you the note saying I was sick. And a couple hours later, she comes back and, they have to, I'm so glad they're protecting the nurses and doctors and people because now they wear these big giant white outfits that and the whole face mask and everything. They basically, their hands are to be sanitized before the moment they walk in the room and the moment they walk out. So she sits down and she says, your test came back and it came back positive.
Oh God.
So I'm thinking, I thank God for sometimes I have a really positive attitude. So now, and I had a positive test and a positive pneumonia and a positive, so I had all this positive stuff. Yeah. So they came back, the test came back positive. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I have pneumonia. I can't afford to have COVID-19 with it. No, and she says, I know. She said, you just got to really take care of yourself. We're going to give you this, we're going to give you that. And we can't keep you because fortunately, I did not have a breathing issue. So
Good.
people that are sick, but don't have to have a ventilator or respirator, any of that stuff, they send you home and tell, I didn't have a fever. So that was a good thing too. So I have COVID-19 and I have pneumonia. And look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God.
Thank God.
No, I'm saying at the time I was like, look at me, how could I have that? I'm absolutely beautiful. I'm
I'm too
just gorgeous.
beautiful for
How could this
that.
even be? Oh God, jeez. And she said, if you get worse, come back.
Okay.
So when I sent you the note, I had gotten so much worse, so much
Oh.
worse, so much worse. I said, no way would I even do that to a show? I would never go on a show sick like that and try to entertain their guests and my guests. Because, John, I know the woman who so that was actually my sister. So she was Johnny Mae. Yeah, she's my sister. And so after I sent you the note and late on that night, I was so bad off. I was so bad off. I went back to the hospital because there was, I just couldn't even almost function. So when I got there, they did the same thing they did before. And they said, well, Miss Morrison, the problem is all we do right now is just let you lay in a bed until you got better, when you can do that at home. So I'm thinking, no, but I have pneumonia and COVID.
Yeah.
Scary.
I got both of them. Pneumonia by itself can do you in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you add COVID, the virus to it.
Right.
God. It was the most horrific time in my entire life. I've never known horror like that. I don't know what COVID and pneumonia did to me, but I was so sick. I was so sick, and I say this in the new book, that I was so bad off. It was such a hard, I can't even explain to you. I wish I could describe the sickness, but there's no description that I can come up with in my head. And so I wanted to punch both of them in there. I just wanted to punch pneumonia. I wanted to punch COVID. I wanted to just kill them both and get rid of them. And I said, I'm too sick to even do that.
Wow.
To even think about doing it. So I don't want to spoil the book for you guys because it's an overwhelming response from the public. I don't know if it's the title of the book or what it is, but I'm getting people from all over the country ordering the book, and I'm like, oh,
That's great.
My God. So my other sister called me yesterday and she said, I ordered the book. And I said, well, you won't get it until next month, maybe, because these are pre-orders. These are pre-sales that we're doing. It hasn't been officially published yet. And she said, the minute I saw the book and I saw the title, I knew I had to get a copy. And I've had that at least 12, 13 times from different people.
Oh, yeah.
Saying the title alone,
Can you say the title for us?
Yes, it's Me, Satan, God, and COVID-19. At first I had put, and Donald Trump, but I took it off. I said, I better not do that. That'll be mean. All Trump supporters.
Oh, man.
Trump
Man.
supporters,
Yeah, well, I just posted that we can pre-order it at your website, sylviaohyeah.com.
That's
and
Sylvia.
And then we pay you via either PayPal or Cash App, right?
Or Apple Pay.
Apple Pay also.
Yeah. She just threw my assistant. She just threw down at the bottom Apple Pay, accepted, but it's mostly PayPal, which you can use a credit card with too.
Yes.
Or Cash App.
So just going to your website and it'll give you all the instructions on how to do it.
On the left hand side, you can see where you can buy all 3 books.
That's
but
right.
They're tearing up that Me, Satan, God, and COVID-19. They are clicking on that baby.
My order is in. Yeah.
I gotta
I
put
saw
mine
it.
in.
I saw it. I was like, look at Laura, she had one. Thank you.
I
Thank
can't
you
wait to
very
read
much.
it. I'm just so
Yeah.
glad you're okay now. How
I
long did it
know.
take for you to sort of to be able to recover enough to
You know, Andy Evans, here we go. There's Andy.
There's Andy.
Andy stayed with me. I can't, he's a comedian, he's a writer, he's an actor. He's oh my God, been acclaimed for his play that he wrote, Clinton Comes to Harlem. And he's the one that wrote The Return of Jackie Moms Madeley and asked
Wow.
if I, wanted to know if I could do that. And I'm like, yeah. So we won't do that play until next year. But he was there and he wouldn't leave. He said, there's no way nobody would be able to leave you if they were here with you. And I'm not going anywhere. So thank God for him. He got my medicine.
Oh,
He stayed with me the entire time. And I think God made him an angel during that time because he never got sick.
wow.
He never got sick. And I was happy for that.
Thank you,
'Cause
Andy.
yes, Andy, thank you. And so what did you ask me? I forgot what you asked me because I'm
How long
multitasking.
did it take for you to recover?
How long did it take? Okay, so he said to me one day, for 11 days, I forgot what his I don't know his exact words, but he said something about 11 days. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was down for 11 days. Where did they go? Where
Oh,
are those 11 days? And he said, you were sick. He said, you were so sick. He said, I felt so bad for you because you were sick and, but I have two daughters and I couldn't allow either one of them over to my place because they have young children.
right.
Yeah.
I just couldn't even imagine one of them coming to help me. I would have had to break the whole thing by myself, but Andy stayed. So I love him for the rest of my life. That was a big step. That was a big chance he took to actually stay. But he's so funny. He said to me, I said, but how did you do social distancing? He said, well, I'm 6'1". So he said,
Pretty far.
all I know is that if I lay down at the other end of the bed, I knew that my foot at the top of your head to my head at the bottom of the bed was 6'1". Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right. So I think, and I don't want to spoil the book for you guys. It's so amazing, the story of how I started feeling better. And it was maybe I don't know, maybe the 12th or 13th day. I got all this stuff written down. I'm like, I gotta figure out, because I know when I do these TV interviews coming up for this book, because they've already started calling my local TV shows. I haven't had the national folks to call yet, and I know they're going to ask me dates, times, because COVID is so big, so big right now. They're gonna want to know what they. So thank you for asking that, Laura. I appreciate it. I appreciate that because it was maybe the 12th or 13th day that a little teeny little edge of life got back into me.
Wow.
It got back just a little bit because I wasn't sure if I was going to die or not. And so I called my oldest daughter. And you don't know.
Yeah.
If you get COVID, you don't know.
Yep.
Who knows? It's not no guarantee that you're going to make it or you're going to die. It's not a death sentence. And then this book, Jelly Beans from Heaven, I refer to it in the new book because when I wrote that's an amazing story. That book if you don't do anything, just get it online and read the back cover. That'll tell you how it came into play in this book and with COVID. And so it was like something happened where I got a little bit of light, just a little. And I looked up and, I thanked God because I said, I think after all those days, and I had to eat something to line my stomach to take the medication. And everything that I put in my mouth, crackers, chewing gum, anything, and I'm sorry to be graphic again, but everything smelled and tasted like pure vomit.
Mm-hmm.
That's how COVID did me. Of course, my taste buds were gone and my smell was gone, but COVID made sure I was able to taste the vomit.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's terrible.
it was absolutely horrible.
It's
And
terrible.
I could just barely eat anything. And anything that I tried to eat, of course, it tasted like vomit. And
Oh,
uh, today, right today, anything that I ate during those 15 days, I can't eat it now because the vomit taste comes back. Now, I do know that COVID leaves you with a whole bunch of remnants of itself. And my doctor told me it actually put pneumonia in my body.
wow.
COVID, if you're healthy, if you're like, I can't wait for people to get a hold of it. If you're a healthy person, which even as you know, I'm a little older, I'm healthy.
Mhm.
You know, I don't have diabetes, I don't have high blood pressure, I don't, you know, it's just a whole bunch of stuff that I don't have.
Yeah.
And I think about the people that smoke, I think about the people who are suffering with lupus, all the disease, just everything. COVID wants to know what you got so it can attack it.
Mm,
That's what it wants to do because its main job is to try to take you out.
mm.
Now I'm talking this in human. I don't know. I'm not talking as a scientist. I'm
Right.
talking as the person who this is what I think happens. So I don't want anybody to think that this is legitimate information. It's just what I think. My doctor did tell me that COVID put pneumonia in my body. So
Wow.
if it
You
can't
know,
find anything, it's gonna do something unless you're one of those special people that get COVID and you're asymptomatic and it just doesn't bother you, it just lets you go on. But I can't tell you guys the number of people who have reached out to me to tell me their experience.
Mm.
Like, wow, I thought I had it bad. God, dog. Because if they have to put you on a ventilator,
Oh, yeah.
you just gotta pull, you gotta push, you gotta pull, you gotta. My doctor also told me, she says, you have such a positive mindset.
Hmm.
That helped you too, Sylvia. So I'm putting that in the book because I think if you believe you're gonna get better. I mean, really believe. I don't know. This COVID thing is so crazy. I'm really becoming an advocate for to give people information and let them know
Well, that's
yes.
wonderful.
my experience. Yeah.
Do you have any idea where you got it? Were you out
Kim,
somewhere unmasked or something like?
I have wrecked my brains. You know what? I thought about it. Two of the ways that people don't even, most people, I'm not going to say all people, but people, a lot of people don't realize that you have to be careful when you go to the grocery store.
Mhm.
You grab a cart, wipe that sucker off. You grab a cart, and when you're pumping gas,
Mhm.
people go to the gas station, they nothing on their hands. If they're COVID infected, I forgot how long it stays on the gas pump or the grocery store cart. But those are the two easiest ways to get COVID. Now, I have to admit, I've been to gas stations and pumped my gas with no glove on, no nothing, and didn't even think about it. I had two events 2 weeks before I was diagnosed. One was 2 weeks, one was 1 week. But I didn't get sick until the third. So I've wrecked my brains to try to figure out where had I been. And I think the only place I could think of, and I still don't know, I have the name that if you don't have on a mask and you walk up to me and I don't have on a mask and you say, Sylvia, well, here comes all your spit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right. All of the names like Cynthia,
Mhm.
Sylvia, Cy, any of the those kind of things. If just, I'm
Him.
sorry, I've become a meanie poo when it comes to COVID. If you stand too close to me, I think it's perfectly okay. No, you need to move back. I don't say
Right.
it like that, but I would say, we got this COVID thing going on. You might want to keep our 6 feet distancing because I refuse to let anybody make me get sick again.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing, and then and we're gonna get off of this because I know you guys have questions, but and maybe we're gonna get off it sooner than what I thought because I forgot what I was about to say.
Just keeping a
But,
distance and being super careful.
I did learn that once you have it, your body builds antibodies.
Okay.
so that you can't get it again. But the antibodies only last. This is from my doctor. It's not what I think. This is my doctor said this. She said the antibodies only last about 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Oh God.
But she said because of what you've been through, you need to keep wearing your mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't listen to our president.
Right. Right.
Please don't do that. And stay social distance. So I'm just so happy and thrilled to be here because now I know that there's some stuff I got to do. And one of the book, I started writing the book like my 16th day after the city released me, and it was just easy. It just all just fell into place, and I'm like, well, good, because my autobiography took a long time to write, but this is like incredibly incredible. So
you wrote it in record time. I mean, like we were only talking about a month ago. So I mean,
and the Eating Jelly Beans from Heaven, it took me 3-4 months to write that, but this one just got laid in right there.
Wow.
And even when I go back over it, I go, oh my God, that's right. Oh my God, people are going to not believe me. They're going to, well, it's what it is. This is what happened. So yes. All right. So there we have it. It's called Me, Satan, God, and COVID-19.
All right. Get out there and get that book. I'm getting mine.
Book. Yes. And buy Almost There Almost and Jelly Beans from Heaven also while you're
talking.
Exactly.
Christmas is
That's
coming.
so good. Yes.
Tim, you got one?
I got a quick question for you, Sylvia. Okay, so I'm just curious. So you're hosting a comedy show and you can book 3 comedians. Who are they?
You know what? I have a thing. You're gonna laugh when I tell you this. Because of my early career, and Monique talks about this often if I'm in the audience and she introduces me. I told her that if a young female comic who's never done comedy or just if a female comic comes up to you and asks you, can they get on your stage? Because she had her own residency in Las Vegas, and she brought me out there to do 9 shows with her.
Wow.
And while I was there, I told her, I said, if they ask you, can you just, for me, going forward, they're calling it the Sylvia rule, and it's supposed to be the rule for all female popular comics going forward, that if they ask you, can they get on stage, give them a couple of minutes. Just do that. Nobody would do that for me. Nobody would do that for me when I was doing open mic, except Jerry Seinfeld.
Wow.
Jerry Seinfeld is my dude. That's my dude, because he was, and I'm sorry, don't let me forget David Copperfield at Rodney Dangerfield's club in New York. Now, not the magician. He's a comic. He's from out of Europe, but he would allow me on stage. So people always find it amazing that I get the new comics.
Okay.
I want them to have an opportunity. I want them to, I'm a cry. I'm sorry, Kim. That's such a good question for me because I remember I took 2 young female comics who had just gotten the game, and just to see them, the excitement that they had to be able to do a show with me. And I was embarrassed because I'm like, oh, I don't know why they're so excited to do a show with me, but
come on.
My Andy says it all the time. Stop, get out of here. So I think I would pick 3 female comics. And again, that's based on what my life was like coming up as a comic. Now I have to see them, even if we sat in my living room and they perform, so that I might be able to coach them a little bit to when you get on stage, don't say that, because you don't. And I never try to change their material, but there's certain words like if they talk about, I don't know why they do, like if they talk about midgets, if they say something really, really derogatory, I'll say it's people are coming to see me, so I can't, certain things I can't or shouldn't have being talked about. But I would pick 3 unknowns. I sure would. And I would bring them on, give them an opportunity, and that would be something they'd be able to talk about for the rest of their career. So
that's an amazing answer.
All right. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Don't forget about me.
Tim, you had a question?
Well, no, first of all, I wanted to say while we was talking, I ordered the book. So, I did order the book.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Second of all, I mean, since I'm a fan and this is one of my, this is a fan question, but tell me a story about like Red Fox. I grew up off of, Sanford and Son and Red Fox and just.
Now, let me tell you, when I first got out to LA and they picked me up at the airport in limousines. I wasn't used to that limousine life yet. You know what I'm saying? I had got used to it. They took me to one of his offices. There were 8 people in the room. 8. Now, I'm just leaving Europe because I told you he flew me out the next day when I got back to the States. So if I got back to the States Monday at 5 o'clock, Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, I was on a plane headed to LA. Excuse me. And I'm thinking Red Fox, I'm getting ready to meet. Oh my God, Red Fox. And I was early in my career. This was early in my career. And I'm about to meet Red Fox. So when we got there, 8 people sat in a chair, no smiles, no nothing. I'm used to 10,000 people in the audience. Right. Now I got 8 people. How do you entertain 8 people? It was my thought. How am I going to bounce off these 8 people? And then I got to thinking, don't let me have to go and sit on each one of their knees and bounce. So when Mr. Fox came in, I'm thinking, I'm gonna hear all these good jokes and this Red Fox, he was man, he had his cigarettes on it, that whole thing. And he sat there like the most serious person in the world. No games, no jokes, no fun, no nothing. One of his assistants says, okay, Sylvia, let's see what you got.
Oh,
and I'm like, well,
scary.
The introduction or something, But I have a friend who was in radio. His name is Dewey Hughes. He was Kathy Hughes's husband. I don't know if you guys know who Kathy Hughes is, but she owns TV One.
Okay.
She owns Radio One. She is just everything. So Dewey said to me, he said, Sylvia, when you get to LA and you meet Red Fox, don't be scared. Don't act scared. Don't let nothing scare. He says, you know how many people with any clue, the thousands of people that would love to be in your shoes and they could show what they could do. So you better give them what they want. And when I finished, they pulled out the contract.
Wow.
They had already decided, he had already decided. And Tim, he didn't even, I was expecting him to be funny, and he was such a serious businessman.
Wow.
And that's when I developed my respect for him. Because there was no fuddy-duddy stuff. It was no, it was all, here you go. Give me the ink pen. Me, excited that it's Red Fox. I didn't even call a lawyer. I wanted to hurry up and sign it in case he changed his mind. You know what I'm saying? I said, I just signed my name and there I was. So what I'm trying to do now is, they told me about this woman who has a copy of all the contracts that Red Fox signed with people during that time. And she was sure that mine was in there. I would love to get a copy of that contract that's almost 50 years old. That would just be a blessing.
Sure. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Can I just tell you that you're so beautiful and that you look so amazing for somebody who just went through COVID? I just have to say this to you. You are so beautiful.
Oh my God,
gorgeous.
I've been putting on makeup since this morning.
Hey, me too, but you're beautiful.
Thank you so much. That's a really nice.
We feel so, I think I speak for all of us when I say we are so blessed to have you. I am so grateful. You don't even know how much you blessed me today with this story and this visit. But
all
really,
of us, yes.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, we have been looking forward to seeing you, and I'm so glad this happened. And I know that our fans are really excited. They're watching, and I know that Teresa's out there, Kristen's out there, Will's out there, Johnny May, your
Oh,
sister's out there. Everybody's out there.
yes.
We just
Wow.
are so happy that you were able to join us. And I just want to say, if you ever want to come back and talk about anything else, you feel free to just let me know. And you're here. We just want you
Thank you.
back. It's so
Thank you.
wonderful
I
to have
appreciate
you.
I've had a ball with you guys. You're just great questions. This may be, and I don't want any of my other people who've interviewed me
Now,
to
now.
be insulted by what I'm about to say because I have a good time usually when I'm interviewing, but this one has been a little interesting because of the level of questions that you guys have come up with. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you
Thank you. We're real
very
fans.
much.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Like when she responded back
Thank
to
you.
me, and I was like, oh my God, she said she's innocent.
I can't believe it.
And you know, I
Can't
have all of my people in my circle saying, "Stop responding to excuse me, to everybody. You're not gonna have any time for yourself." And I'm like, if it wasn't for these people like Tim, he just said I ordered your book.
Right.
What a blessing. You know what? All because I'm on the show and he heard more detail about it. He went and ordered the book. So thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions or any more things that anyone would like to say before we say goodnight?
Well, I do want to say
Tim, you guys?
also, well, just thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you taking your time out, and doing our show, out in Western Mass, and we really appreciate you. And Kim was exactly that excited when you responded to her. She
Oh,
was.
that is so sweet.
I
Thank
just
you. Thank you very much.
I just am so grateful that Monique said something because I can't imagine going through the rest of my life not knowing that what you did and who you are and everything. Like that just doesn't even make sense to me. Like I am so happy.
Oh, you saw the video
Yes. And I
from
was like, who?
that was in
Yes.
Vegas.
I was like, oh my God.
You know what? I can tell you guys this story really, really quickly because I know we're getting ready to
Oh, we'll
go to air.
stay forever. Don't
But
worry. Stay. We'll stay.
So I was in Vegas because I've been hired to host the Play Awards. This is an awards. It's not big and national yet, but it's pretty big. And all the people who do plays, they submit information and they have the winners and they give out just like the Grammys or that bit. And so and they had some big names coming out, and I was excited that they actually asked me to host. It was so wonderful, and I knew that George Wallace was in Vegas, and I knew that I didn't forget, but one of my little friends who is from DC, said that he had gone to Monique's residency show, and she was amazing, and she invited him back the next night
Wow.
to open for her show. So I said, well, I was supposed to go see George Wallace. So my friend Chris Thomas had called George, told him I was there and I was going to come. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go and support him at Monique's show. And I'll go to George's show tomorrow night because the Play Awards wasn't until that Sunday. And I think this was like a Thursday or whatever. So I go to, you guys are going to love this and then I'm going to let you go. So I end up at Monique's residency. And they set me a VIP, her security and all those people, they came and found out I was there. And Rodney Perry actually told them, you guys take care of this lady because you just need to take care of her. So he said, I can't wait for Monique to meet you because she loves history stuff. So to make a very long story short, at the end of her show, which she was amazing, this is her residency. She's the first Black female to have a residency in Las Vegas. Wow. So Rodney goes up to her, and I'm in VIP, and she's just coming off the stage. So she makes a turn and comes over to where I am. And she said, how you doing, Miss Sylvia? I just want you to know, sugar. And she proceeds to tell me that she didn't know I existed, and oh my God. Then she said, you know what, come on back in the dressing room. So I get up, we go back to her dressing room, and she sits a chair in front of her chair, and she sits down. I'm telling you, I'm about to blow your mind because it took me for a loop. So she sits down and looks at me and she says, do you know a woman by the name of Laura Brogan? I think that's her name. And I said, I think so. She said she was born in 1894. She's a singer, but she's the first rapper
What?
She said she reminds me so much of me, and nobody knows who she is. Then Monique said, so I've been promoting her. And I said, Monique, that is so good. She said, and she looked at all of her team, her hairdresser, her makeup artist, her security people. They were all in the room. And everybody was quiet as a mouse. They were quiet. And she said, we talked about this morning, didn't we, y'all? All of us talked about this morning to Sylvia. So, and she said, that woman came to me this morning, and I could see her eyes swelling up. And she said, she told me, she said, Monique, don't worry about promoting me. I'm going to send you the person you need to promote. And she cried. She said, Miss Sylvia, you walked in the door.
Whoa.
Oh.
Wow.
And from that moment, Monique has been my biggest cheerleader.
Wow.
She took me all over Vegas, television. I mean, she said, you're the person. I don't know. Did you guys see the T.I. Tiny interview?
Yeah.
She's like, wherever she goes, she tells people. And
Yep.
she said, because so. And I'm telling you guys this because I want to thank you for having me on the show. I want to thank you for putting me in front of your audience.
It's an
Thank
honor.
you so much.
It's a total honor. God bless
On your
you.
shoulders, everybody else comes,
That's
we
right.
wouldn't have been able to do it without you, That's it. We need to know who those people are, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
So
it's
important.
so grateful to Monique for letting us know that,
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I had a ball, guys. I'm tell
We
you the
did
man,
too.
baby boy. You him.
You have a standing invitation to Western Mass, the luxurious Western Mass area, where you can please come anytime and be
I
our
hope we
guest.
bring the play up there. I hope we can, find a way to get it there. So we'd love to.
There's plenty of venues that would take that. They would love to have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All
Take
right,
care.
everybody. It's a wrap. It's the Quarantine Call-In Show. Tune in with us next Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for our next Odyssey with a special guest. Thank you, Sylvia Traymore Morrison. We're
Thank
so
you.
grateful to have you. Everybody,
My pleasure. My
good
pleasure.
night.
Any U.S. citizen returning to the United States will be subject to up to 14 days of mandatory quarantine.
Okay. We got that vaccine, third eye clean, we Visine. Dancing off the top rope, we Dougie off them high beams. Running hard like track meets, debutantes in back seats. Niacin for player B, my piss test with 5. Double fast on planet Mars, they surf the net, we surf the stars. Quarantine in Zanzibar, breathing on the masses. Paper like